So I recently polled many of you about which weapon you prefer out of the two new primes, and Tenora is the clear winner. So, seeing as that's the favourite, it's time to build for it. I'm the Engineer, let's solve a practical problem. Now, I'll level with you. Tenora Prime is a fun weapon, but not a meta weapon. It's a high magazine, ammo burning, quick spawning machine gun most of the time. It can also be used on its secondary fire as a semi-automatic charge rifle, turning 10 shots into one upgraded shot. Due to it using normal bullets rather than say chaining beams or explosive rounds, and certainly nothing scaling like melee, the ceiling for this weapon is lower than one might hope. But it is strong enough to blast through the star chart and rising tiers with a bit of heavy modding. I've got two major builds for you, a budget build and a main build, with a little bit of tweaking available around that. And of course, if these builds are helpful to you, make sure to like and subscribe. You know the deal and it helps the channel, so to those who do so, thank you very, very much. So the budget build first. Now, we're modding a crit rifle here, and that means some mods just have to be on the weapon, no contest. That's Serration, Vital Sense, Point Strike, and Split Chamber. If you are removing any of these mods from your rifles, it's because you either know exactly what you're doing, or you're making a mistake. Probably the latter. Put those mods on. The other mods to go with this then are Hammer Shot and Heavy Caliber on forward slots, plus Malignant Force and Rime rounds. This will give you a solid 31,000 DPS without counting viral procs. That's enough to handle everything on the star chart and can handle sorties just about as well, but not a whole lot more. If you have it, you can swap in Prime Shred instead of Heavy Caliber. This loses ammo efficiency on paper, but gains that precious punch through to hit more enemies, boosting your potential damage output. Normal Shred doesn't keep up as greatly, but still gives workable punch through. Now if you're happy to invest a bit more into the gun, we can step up to the main build. Applying a total of 4 Former, you can get a somewhat heavier duty approach. This takes 2 more V polarities, we can chuck out Hammer Shot for primed cryo rounds, and drop Rime rounds for Prime Shred. This double prime setup is still on viral damage, but enhances the DPS up to 56,000, around an 80% increase. This setup still delivers about 5 viral procs per second to a target, allowing for the DPS to quickly ramp up against anything that's not status immune. After just 2 seconds of firing on a Grenadier unit, assuming it somehow hasn't already died, you're dealing around 320,000 DPS, thanks to their innate vulnerability to viral. Now this isn't particularly meta still, but that amount of damage will handle the vast majority of everything you will encounter, so it's not a bad weapon by any stretch of the imagination. There are a few considerations for the Tenora Prime though. The primary weakness is the ammo usage. Prime Shred is increasing that burn by 55%, and to get the most out of this gun, you should be considering additional fire rate and damage buffs from other sources. Abilities which enhance the damage directly will be more efficient than fire rate buffs, but fire rate buffs tend to be stronger, aside from raw. Arcane Acceleration especially will skyrocket your fire rate, which does wonders for proccing viral and for sheer damage, at the cost of your ammo. So to compensate for this, resupply abilities like Transmutation Probe and Dispensary are very helpful for this weapon, or you can look to the likes of Carrier for ammo support. Failing that, you can apply 2 more Former and an Exilus adapter to either of the builds shown here today, to slide Vigilante supplies or another ammo conversion mod into the Exilus slot, but that is again quite a bit of investment into this gun. As a final ammo option, Energized Munitions on a duration-focused Warframe can spare you the worst of the ammunition woes, trading energy for 4 times more bullet per bullet. It can start to feel like you're under the effect of a reactant buff at that point, and I do recommend trying it at least once just for the fun of it. Again, not meta, but fun. Now I've not talked much about the secondary fire so far. Due to the crit stats of this weapon, on the main build the secondary fire deals about 70% more damage per ammo spent, giving a solid 49,000 damage on hit for a single charge shot. With it already having innate 1 meter punch through, this charged round can cleave through a number of enemies as well as various types of terrain and cover. However, the gun fires automatically on a full charge 0.52 seconds after clicking on this build, which means sometimes you'll simply miss the shot. In the time it takes to fire a charge shot, you could have fired around 10 rounds in the standard mode for about 60% of the base damage and around 1200% the status procs. Given that just a single viral proc doubles your damage, the charge shot can often work out worse for DPS, even if it's theoretically more ammo efficient. For those reasons, I'd mostly ignore the secondary fire. It's a tool to hold on to, but the primary fire is mostly the way to go. And that's all there really is to say about the Tenora. You can try and shoehorn in some high cost build for Steel Path Grineer, but the results will still be underwhelming compared to other options, mostly again due to lack of crowd application. For most other uses, it works well, if a bit expensive to get there. If this guide has helped, you know what to do, tap that like button, and don't forget to catch me on Twitch for more Warframe content live as well. And as always, spool up, rain bullets, and fight well, Tenno.
Trin?